All right, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
All right, it's great to see some smiling faces here this morning as the weather improves and we get our winter people who escape winter back, like Dennis. Good to see you, Dennis.
Yeah.
Rather than sitting in your room at home. Let's start with, where did he go? Oh, he's over there. He's manning the door. Mr. Miners.
You waiting for me?
Yes.
I was helping that poor gentleman wondering what to do.
Yeah, well, Jose appreciates, but I think there's part-time work available.
All right. So this morning I'm conscious. A young man come to me and say, how do I get closer to God? Because sometimes people like me feel like no one's interested, but obviously there are people, so that's going to be our prayer today. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for your abundant and great grace that's been given to all of us. And Father God, for those who feel a hunger or desire for God, I pray, Lord, that they would find their way, because truly you sent your Son to die for us so that we could come closer to you. So I pray for all those hungering and desiring for God within my voice, that their lives would be touched, that they would feel and experience the presence of God and will grow closer to you. Father, we just thank you for this meeting now. I pray for us as a club, Lord, that help us to be a benefit, a blessing, and to show love to our community and the world. And we just ask you to bless our food. And everyone said?
All right. Thanks. Okay, well, this is our second to last Teacher of the Month meeting or celebration, if you will, before the end of the school year, which amazingly is just 6 weeks away, and cross our fingers that we, as a school district, get through it just fine, as best as possible. We're happy to have our honoree this morning, Ms. Jenny Peterson, band instructor from Parkview Middle School here as our honoree, and we're going to hear from Jenny in a bit. She's here with her principal and my wife's boss, Luke Spielman. All right. Oh, let's have a Rotary Minute. That's been seasoning for about a week because we put it off last week. Charlie Miller.
I'm going to move this Rotary Minute from last week due to some time constraints, but it's timely because everybody saw on their table that Jim put out this on the Rotary District Conference, and I was going to talk about the Rotary District Conference last week, so I'll do it today, the timing of it. And I'm not sure how many people, think about our Rotary District 6270. Basically runs, if you draw a line from Delavan to Manitowoc, everything east and south of that in the corner of Wisconsin is Rotary District 6270. There's about 60 plus clubs in that group. And annually, they have what they call a district conference. Now, this district conference is virtual, and it's also now the Western Lakes. Traditionally, District 6270 had its own district conference, and it's to honor district governor for that previous year. Always usually held the end of April. This is early May, but it's usually the last part of April. And there's a few people in this room that remember we had one time, we had the district governor of 6270 in our club. And that was back in 2012, 2013. That was Rick Deavy. Unfortunately, Rick's not here with us today, but that's a pretty big honor to be the district governor of and basically be in charge of 60 plus clubs in this, for a Rotary calendar year. And so we had to put on the district conference back in 2013 when Rick was finishing up his year as district governor. And we had it at the Abbey down in Montana. And a lot of people in this club did a lot of work that year. We all went as a group with our spouses to Green Lake in 2012 to see how the district conference was run. There's a number of people in the room here that was part of that. Then we put on our own, which runs from a Friday, starts with traditionally a golf outing on a Friday, and it runs through Sunday morning with a big banquet on Saturday night and clubs getting together and putting on hospitality rooms. So anyway, back in 2012, we're a small club, and we had to put this on for a fairly large group over a weekend. So again, we went to Green Lake to see how it was done, and then we started working on this back in September of 2012 to get ready for April of 2013. Speaking personally, and Dennis is here today, Dennis and I, because the district's so big, it's split up into zones. I think we're Zone F, if I remember correctly, down here. So Dennis and I were looking for help. We didn't have a lot of people to help put this on and manage that down in Fontana. So we went to Elkhorn Club, Delavan Club, Lake Geneva, Walworth, Fontana, and Burlington, asking them to help manpower-wise, and we got a lot of help. We got a lot of help from the Elkhorn Club, and long story short, it started on Friday, kind of on a bumpy road. I was driving down to Fontana, and it was snowing. So the golf outing didn't happen that Friday. But the weekend went off really well, and we all went down there, and traditionally the old hospitality room aspect kind of fell off, and we wanted to resurrect that, and we had our own hospitality room, and a lot of the Zone F clubs had them, and it was a nice thing after the banquet to honor Rick. Everybody came to the hospitality rooms that night. You guys all remember, and they went down to these different hospitality rooms, and it was really a good fellowship time. And for the luncheon that Saturday, there were all these foreign kids there, foreign exchange kids, and they call it the Parade of the Flag. So they all came in with the flag of their country, and it was real cool. But I just thought it's unique to have a district governor. We had one in Rick Deeby. The club put it off, and I thought it was a good thing to talk about as a historical thing, because traditionally this would be the month of the district conference. So thank you very much.
All right. Yes, we remember that well. It's hard to believe it's been 8 years since then. I think I had been in the club 2 or 3 years at that point. So trial by fire as we.
You were president then.
Yeah, and I was president that year. So that was interesting. And at the time we had like 270 people that came to it. We had the CEO of Badger Meter. Anyway, it was a good team effort for a small club, and we were smaller then than we are now in terms of people. So, I guess I'll say it now. This year, as opposed to going and having hotel rooms and committing for a whole 2 or 3 days for the event, now it's like you could literally register and attend one hour session to hear the speaker from Afghanistan talk about what's going on over there and such, just virtually. So something to consider during those 4 days that's going to be taking place. It's only a couple hours a day, not all day. Okay, so let's do happy finds and drawing. See who our lucky person is today. Anybody happy?
Sure. You have a
Yes.
happy
Yeah, just glad to be back.
All right, glad to have you back.
You're welcome. Happy to put that heavy coat back.
Now that it's over 50.
Anybody else this morning? All right, we'll have our guests who are draw the number. Who's the last three?
056.
056. Okay.
All right, Ken.
All right, take care of that.
All right, for those online who didn't hear, Ken Kurt won this morning, so
We are. Good work.
good to have everybody online. Thanks for connecting in. We have, I don't know, about 10 of us or so, to 11 of us here in the room. So a few business items, and then we'll get to our program this morning. As everybody heard last week, with the update from John Miners, there's been a shift in events for the village over this coming summer, but we still, as a club, intend to be involved as much as possible. We've been asked formally yesterday by the village, are we still interested in being part of the vending and such for the one event on September 11th that currently is planned. The idea is that the band shell, or whatever we're calling it, performance stage, is scheduled to be finished at that point. but the original June, July, and August concerts have been canceled for this year. So, as a club, as we look at the year ahead, we'll look at Balloons Over McGuanago in July 16th through 18th, which we intend to be involved in terms of a fundraising opportunity there. We hope that the Village event goes off a concert on September 11th. The following weekend, knock on wood, we hope, we'll see what happens with the vaccine and the numbers and everything, but we still have John McGivern scheduled for Saturday, September 18th, with more than 600 tickets still in people's possession. And then Fall Fest is September 25th. So 11th, 18th, and 25th. So September is going to be interesting. That's Fall Fest. Last year we had a beer stand with East Troy Brewery beer across the street. That was a great success for that. So September is turning out to be a busy month, and we'll look and see if there's some other opportunities as well. So just looking ahead. The Chamber of Commerce Spring Fling is coming up on May 1st. As usual, I have a conflict. It's the same night as a Night on Broadway choir concert at the Performing Arts Center. But the Chamber of Commerce is a big supporter of our club and promoting our events. Typically every year we have offered a gift card so they can put it into their auction as they fundraise. We're doing that again this year. And it's, as I sent out an email, it's open to anybody. Thankfully, we are honorary chamber members, just as being a Rotarian. You don't have to be an individual business owner. So if you show up at one of their events and say you're from Rotary, they'll let you on through and give you a little gift bag and everything else. And I'll just say upcoming programs next Thursday, we're going to have our own Matt Flowers, who is Dustin's connecting back in. One of our newer, although it's been since last summer, although things go by fast, and of course we're dealing with a pandemic here. Matt Flowers is going to be our speaker. It is a good tradition in Rotary that when you have a new member in the club, that person is given an opportunity to tell us more about themselves, more about what they do every day, what they do for their vocational service to society, for their own business and such. So next week we're going to hear from Matt Flowers, who is an important new member of our club. And then on April 29th, we're going to have a business meeting, and it's going to be a pretty important one. I'm going to be going over next week with the board some proposals in terms of some minor restructuring with the club, some redefining of some committees, standing committees, and then things like that. And I think there's a great opportunity to make the club more efficient, use the resources that we have, and as we look ahead to the next calendar Rotary year starting on July 1st, some opportunity there to do some great things. So if you're able to attend in person or online, great. Otherwise, it will be recorded, and you can look at it then. And then we're looking at May 6th. And then we're going to have the village planner on May 13th, John Fellows, who's fairly new to the village, talking about some planning for upcoming McGuanago projects and things like that. So I'll just say that as I lay this out to the board and as I lay it out to the club on the 29th, the goal is for those of you that are newer to the club, we are looking for you to get involved and become excited about what we do as a club. And there's opportunities for taking on more responsibility. Some of you have already approached. For those who have been in the club a long time, some of you may need a little bit of a break and not attend as many meetings and such. That's fine. But obviously the goal is to keep us structured, that we have some great brainstorming and some great ideas that we can carry forward our fundraising and do things there. Any other updates or anything like that anybody would like to bring up? Otherwise, we will get to our program here this morning. And Dustin, if you're up and running, you could take it over and lead us into introductions.
Awesome. Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My honor to introduce Luke Spielman, the principal of Parkview Middle School and the teacher of the month, and Jenny Peterson. Luke Spielman is in his third year as principal at Parkview Middle School and is his 10th year as an administrator. He feels incredibly fortunate to work with the PVMS students and staff on a daily basis. Luke has served as a middle school teacher, coach, high school assistant principal, and middle school assistant principal. Luke and his wife Lindsay live in Pewaukee and have 2 children, Caden, who's 7, and Avery, who is 6. He enjoys cheering on the Badgers, Brewers, Bucks, and Packers with his family. So without further ado, Luke Spielman.
Thanks, Dustin. It's good to see you virtually. It's weird because
As opposed to in person?
yeah, I mean, even Dustin and I have seen each other limited time throughout the school year, and it's just so strange to live in this COVID world. So it's good to see people in person as well. I'm always excited about the opportunity to come and speak about all the wonderful things our students and staff are doing. I think with as many challenges as we faced this year, one word that has came to mind a lot is surviving. But I'm proud, as Jim mentioned, we have six weeks left or 7 weeks left, somewhere like that. And I shared with our staff yesterday that I'm confident we're going to make it. We're no longer surviving. I feel like we've reached the point of being able to thrive, and I'm thankful for the community support to allow us to do that. From the beginning of the year, as Jenny will share here in a few minutes, from the beginning of the year, we've had to put safety measures in place, whether it's masks, which we're all sick of wearing, whether it's plexiglass, etc. But one of the reasons why I invited Jenny to join us this morning, because I think masks and plexiglass probably impacted our music department more than any other academic area. Because you can't play a band instrument while wearing a mask. You can't set up plexiglass between each musician. That just isn't feasible. So I think the challenges that many of us faced were even amplified even more for our music department. And as I just got done saying, surviving versus thriving, I'm thankful to say that with our community support and with our teachers' great support, we were able to continue our wonderful music program. So I'm going to invite Jenny up. Jenny is in her 12th year in the Moquango Area School District. She, as Jim said, is our band instructor at Parkview Middle School. Her and her husband, Ben, live in the community, and she has 2 children. Everett is a first grader at Section, and Clara is in 4K at St. John's. Come on, Jenny.
Yes, she lives across the street from me. I
Yes.
monitor her from my den.
Jim is my neighbor, yeah.
My dog looks out the window a lot more than I do.
I see your wife walking around all the time. And you probably see my kids too. Yeah. My son almost got hit by a car last week, so there we go. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I'm truly honored to have been nominated by Luke for being the Rotary Teacher of the Month. Like Luke said, this is my 12th year teaching in the district, and this has certainly presented many unique challenges to our music department. I'd like to give you a brief overview of how our band program has evolved, what the band program in Moquango currently offers, and how we've adapted this year to continue to offer opportunities for our students. I started teaching beginning band at Rolling Hills, Section, Prairie View, and Eagleville in 2009. At that time, our 5th grade band beginners signed up for band in the fall, and they weren't really up and running on their instruments until at least December, as we only saw them once a week for one 20-minute lesson. After teaching a few years in that scenario, I started the summer Jumpstart Week. We began fitting 4th graders for band instruments in the spring, and then they attended a week-long camp called Jumpstart Week to have a small group instruction on their instrument prior to the beginning of the school year. Our elementary band department continues to run Jumpstart Week, and our secondary band instructors also teach at Jumpstart Week, hoping that we can start making connections with kids from the very start of their musical career. In 2013, I began teaching at Parkview. My teaching assignment includes 7th grade band, 8th grade band, 7th grade percussion, 8th grade percussion, exploring music, and extracurricular jazz ensemble. We typically have 3 band concerts a year, in addition to a combined Parkview and high school jazz band concerts. Students are encouraged to participate in solo ensemble, and in non-COVID years, I've run various extracurricular small ensembles as well. I've worked diligently with Emma Angeli, our Moquango High School director, to grow our band program. Parkview 8th graders are eligible to join the high school marching band, and we offer 8th grade pep band night where current 8th graders get to play with the high school pep band at a high school basketball game. Parkview band students are also eligible to join Blue 2 Percussion and Blue 2 Winds, which are extracurricular band opportunities offered by the high school. Emma likes to pop her head into my rehearsals when she can to begin making connections with middle school band students as we try to bridge the gap between middle school and high school. In 2019, the MASD band program put on our first ever MASD band holiday extravaganza. On the Saturday morning of Midnight Magic, we had every band student from grades 5th through 12th grade perform a concert in the West Gym at the high school. Each grade level performed a piece or two, and we ended the performance with a combined piece performed by 300 plus band students. Not only was the performance a spectacular one, but we raised money and collected donations for the Mukwonago Food Pantry. We hope to continue this tradition as COVID restrictions are lifted in the future. The entire Mukwonago Music Department has had to make significant changes to their approach, their curriculum and instruction this year. Planning for this began in the summer. We followed studies being done by universities that evaluated aerosol emissions from musicians. We met with administrators throughout the summer to determine safety measures that could be taken in order for our musicians to continue to make music in school. Many districts across the county, state, and nation are still not allowing students to perform band instruments or sing in person in school. There we go. We are extremely fortunate that our administrators took the time throughout the summer and early school year to hear our concerns, make available the resources we needed, and allowed us to continue making music in person. Our concerts have looked very different this year. In December, the Parkview performing music teachers did recording sessions instead of in-person performances. In March, I was able to hold in-person performances with limited audience sizes in the West Gym at the high school. I purchased copyright license to be able to live stream and post videos of our performances on YouTube. In May, I plan to hold in-person performances yet again, but this time in the PAC. Every concert this year has thrown us curveballs with new challenges to figure out and overcome. Nonetheless, the music department has continued to offer meaningful musical instruction and performance opportunities for our students. In fact, tomorrow night, and Jim, I think you'll probably be there, we are holding our second annual Drumming for a Difference concert. Our 7th through 12th grade percussion students will perform in the West Gym and raise money for the Mukwonago Food Pantry. I invite you to watch the live stream on the Mukwonago Band YouTube channel. Finally, one of the pieces my 8th graders played on our last concert in March was called Night of the Dark Horse. A dark horse is commonly known as the underdog, someone that isn't meant to win, but ultimately comes from behind and is victorious. I can't help but to see that as a metaphor for this school year, for my colleagues, and for my students. Every morning that I step into Parkview, I am reminded that our community is resilient and determined. I'm so very proud to teach in this district. Thank you very much for this honor.
Questions?
Yeah, any questions?
Yeah, questions, including folks online. Feel free,
Yes.
anybody online.
Pretty thorough.
Because I didn't hear, did you graduate from UW?
I graduated from Whitewater.
Whitewater,
Mhm.
you were in the band there?
I was.
And what instruments did you play?
Trumpet is my main instrument. I also play piano, but I do play all of the instruments with my students.
Really?
Yes. I mean, most. I've gotten a lot better at a lot of them over the years.
We used to have a rotary band, right? We kind of do, right? You're a trumpet player. You should have brought your trumpet this morning.
I used to borrow a tuba once a year from Emma.
Yes.
And, we didn't practice at all. Number one, it wouldn't have made any difference. We didn't need it. That was fun.
And cold.
Yeah, there was a variety of weather.
Yeah,
Oh,
the Midnight Magic Parade.
Yes. Well, you should join the extravaganza then when we have that up and running for Midnight Magic.
They might not be able to call it an extravaganza.
I think most of the members of the band are no longer with it, they're no longer members of the club.
Oh, well, yeah. No, we brought him back for Adam's Brothers.
Yeah.
What is the, as my son made the progression through elementary school and then was invited to do percussion, and now he does everything, Bluetooth and everything else. The progression from elementary school, most of the students that you work with were doing it in elementary school, or if they're like 7th grade and like, I never did this in elementary school, I would like to pick this up. I mean, that's doable as well. They don't have to have previous
Not
experience?
typically.
Not typically?
They do have to have band experience.
Okay.
If we have that, one kid that's super motivated and wants to join, we say you have to take lessons this prior summer to 7th grade. So we obviously try to promote band in elementary school as much as possible. There's some scheduling things that make it difficult in the elementary school. Band students in elementary have to miss recess to go to band and things like that. So every year we're trying to see how we can reinvent the wheel. And we're hopeful that in the future we'll continue to be able to make that an easier thing for students to fit in their schedule in elementary.
I'll add to that. I mean, we also have some students who are quality musicians in multiple areas. So we have students who want to be in orchestra, want to be in choir, want to be in band, and that creates some scheduling conflict at the middle school level for us too, because there's only so much time in a day. But
Yeah.
it's a great problem to have with talented students.
Yeah, and they also see that problem in the high school as well.
Yeah, so we try to do things like, okay, during the day you're in a band, but you could be in the after-school choir group or jazz band, depending on the jazz band after school. Like, so you're in choir during the day, but you can do jazz band, so they can still get some of those experiences in both ways.
Yeah, sure.
A question, obviously during this COVID era, which is now over a year, a lot of people try to do more things outside. And I'm curious, I mean, obviously, all of us remember the marching bands and you know, especially Friday nights at football games and different things. Was this district and or Parkview specifically, were they able to incorporate, at least when the weather permitted, more outside things to maybe help in allowing, you know, this to function?
Sure. Yeah, there was a marching band season last summer. The high school had marching band pretty much run as normal. I think they did pep band at the football games and all of that. I think Emma brought her bands out and did rehearsals outside, weather permitting, in the fall. I felt like that was a little, there were more challenges for me at the middle school level to take kids outside, but we have mitigation measures indoors right now, and I am just thrilled to say, and I can't believe I'm saying this, we have had no like band related outbreaks at Parkview or the high school, which you would think is kind of surprising considering, you know, we're using aerosol to produce sound. We have the kids spaced out as far as we can, giving our room limit size. I can't get kids 6 feet apart in my classroom. It's just not physically possible, even though Luke helped and had my classes, you know, slimmed down. So I have more classes this year, but they're smaller. Kids are probably 2 or 3 feet apart. We have them wearing masks when they're not playing. When they play, we pull them down and then put them right back up. We have covers on the ends of their instruments so that if there's aerosol coming out at the end of their instrument, that's covered that way. Brass players empty their spit in garbage cans instead of on the floor like they typically would. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I really truly was nervous in the beginning of the school year. How would that go? Literally blowing aerosol into my classroom every day, but there has been zero you know, band-related COVID outbreaks in our schools, which is phenomenal. And it just kind of justifies, like, we planned and we researched so thoroughly during the summer, and it just helps feel really good about the fact that we didn't risk, and like, you know, there's always going to be some risk, but we put the kids in a really good position, and we were able to have a really good school year regardless.
I want to follow up by saying that this sometimes gets too politicized, but when I hear all of the things nationwide about schools, some schools doing this, some schools doing that, we can't do this, we can't do that. My main connection in schools was always here, not with my kids, but working here for so many years. I think we have such a good administrative group in the school district, and I think it filters down to the high schools, the grade schools, the middle school, and everybody found a way to make it work. And I just don't understand. There was such a fear, and I understand the fear, but you think it through and look, you know, we came out of the gate in September, and here we are almost at the finish line, and these kids got a good year. I know some had to learn virtually, but for the most part, it worked. If you push the fear to the side and start to think it through and make it work, I think the school district did it.
I truly believe it did.
And I think that's a kudos to everybody. I think that was a positive to all these kids in this school district. It's a big school district, not a small one. It's not some rural district out in the middle of nowhere. So kudos to everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that we're going to look back at this being a very successful year for the district, even though they were not.
Yeah, question, Jenny. So
Sure.
this past year with COVID, if you go onto YouTube Music, you see these musicians that are playing remotely, but then they're playing songs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain that to me and to the group how that works? I mean, is that they're playing in real time, are they not?
Yeah, so we actually did that in the spring when everything shut down last March and April. We got together as a band department, like, what are we gonna do? You know, the whole point of music is to be together and, you know, make that with your fellow musicians and have connections that way. So we did a 5th through 12th grade virtual band, and we chose a piece that was, on the easier side because these kids were kind of, working through it on their own at home. And I recorded myself playing all the parts with like a metronome track, and then I would upload it, and then they practiced with that. And then we gave them really specific directions. Okay, you're going to record yourself, after several weeks of practicing. You're going to set up your, your phone or your tablet needs to be landscape, and you're going to record yourself with a backing track. So they would hear a clap, or we would count off, and then they had to clap with the backing track, so that once we got all the backing tracks together, we could line up that clap at the beginning, and that would help us then to make sure the whole, like every single track was lined up. So then they had the metronome going, and then they would record themselves, submitted it, and we had our district percussion instructor, Rick Shad, bless his heart. He had never really done that before. It was a learning experience for all of us. He took, those hundreds of recordings and combined them. So if you go on the McWanago YouTube channel, you'll see one of those virtual bands. It's called Pegasus. That was the 5th through 12th grade. And then after the first one, and we learned a lot of how can we do this more efficiently next time, we did another one, and we did like a 5th through 7th grade one, and we did an 8th through 12th grade one. So yeah, it was something brand new that we had never done before, but it was kind of like, how do we still do this? How do we keep kids making music together? And we were really, really excited to, that was when everybody was at home and like literally not doing anything. So when we were able to send an email to all those families and say, tonight at 7 o'clock, the virtual McWanago band premieres, it was just, and there was like the live chat where the kids are all chatting on YouTube about it. And I see myself on the screen, and it was one of the highlights, I would say, of being stuck at home. Like that was one of the things like, okay, we actually did this. We worked around this challenge, and we were really proud of how that turned out.
I assume the majority of the students, are they using school instruments that are assigned to them at the beginning of the year?
I'd say about 75% of the kids have their own instruments that they rent, or a handful own. I provide school-owned instruments typically for kids on free or reduced lunch, or kids that play instruments that typically aren't like rented, like a bass clarinet, a bari sax, a tenor sax, things like that. So with
Local business, White House music, whatever it happens to be, 75% or so either own it if they're serious about it, or they rent it for their band.
Yeah, and as kids get serious more towards 8th grade, a lot of times I'll have a handful of kids who are like, oh, my parents bought me a trumpet for Christmas, and they're so excited to come in and show me their instruments.
I get to buy pianos and buy it.
Yeah.
Expensive pianos.
It's worth it.
Okay, anything else? Well, I will say that having a son who's currently in percussion and a daughter who's in orchestra and everything like that, to use a Milwaukee Brewers, and I don't know how many of us are Milwaukee Brewers analogy in here, Jenny and Emma are the Brandon Woodruff and Corbin Burns of band instructor, for sure right now. And let's hope that continues in terms of 2 H's. So.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I do want to get a COVID-friendly picture at the end so I can post it on Facebook. Dustin, I assume we're going to have something. Obviously, this remote doesn't allow us to do anything, but you are going to receive. Go ahead, Dustin. This is like, what does she want?
Yeah, so Jenny, on behalf of the Rotary, we want to thank all the hard work that you're doing for our students who want to go in the community. So later today, I will be stopping over at Parkview and giving you your Rotary plaque, as well as a $25 gift card to David Allen Allen, so you can maybe get a drink with your husband and get a babysitter or something.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, great. All right, anything else? If not, let's stand, and as we leave for our rest of our day here, let's remember to ask ourselves first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right, everybody, have a good rest of the week.